Way Up with Angela Yee. I'm Angela Yee, and Romain Virgo is here in the flesh.
Yes,
finally. It's fine. I know, because we interviewed you on Zoom during the pandemic.
Yeah, true.
And even for you, first of all, I've been watching your vlog, so hopefully this is all I'm going to make it onto the vlog.
Of course, I should have my
the
phone
Virgos.
out.
I know, right? I want to make it onto one of the vlogs.
Yeah, of course, without a doubt. You know?
But I feel like something like that has definitely made people feel so much closer to you and your family.
It has. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for this platform. And even my shows nowadays, when I go around the world and perform, I know that maybe 75% of the people who come out to the shows, you know, are people who are like more into this whole YouTube channel, you know, in watching us and getting to know like a different side of Romain Virgo outside of music. Because that's what the channel does. It shows people that there's more to him different from music, you know? Yeah.
I think it's great because first of all, you have a huge following just on the YouTube. That's not an easy thing to always build up. But then we get to see like your relationship with your wife, Elizabeth. I feel like I know her with the girls, with the twins. So that's amazing. What made you decide to even start that?
The pandemic. I feel like there was nothing to do. And we just wanted to see how we could lift the spirit of people around the world at the time, and especially in Jamaica. Over Instagram, people wanted to know a little bit about, you know, me and Liz and how we cope, you know, at the time. And we said, why not, you know, like start a YouTube channel now? Like we're home, we're not doing anything. And so we started. I mean, our first video was just us trying to start the channel. It was like 5 minutes of us trying to say, hey, this is Romain Virgo and this is Liz, and we're about to start our YouTube channel. That was it. And, you know, so we started, didn't expect much, and just the response people it was crazy. Like the first 5 days we got like, I think the first day, we got like 15,000 subscribers.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
I guess we were all at home, like what?
Yeah, like let's see what they're up to, and so it just grew from there, and yeah, it got better over time, and you know the pressure come with it as well too. But you know we find a way each time to.
You know, it's interesting because people also feel like they grew up with you.
Yeah.
My board up, he's actually Jamaican, he was in here earlier, and I was like, oh, Romain Virgo's coming today. And he was like, oh, he's a lot older. I was like, he's not, he's so young. But people have known you since you were a teenager. Yeah. And so they have this perception that you've been like, you know, I mean, you have been in this business almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's a long time. I mean, you know, that's what happened when you like enter at a young age. You know, 16, I used to do, I think, altogether sing for my high school choir. And so from that time, Jamaica kind of, you know, find this love and this, as I said, it's like they're raising you up, you know, like it's, you know, Jamaica have me as their son, you know, from that time. And then Rising Stars and, you know, to know, you know, so it's been years and it's good. Sometimes I go in the street and people say, hey, I've been watching you from I was a baby. I'm like, yo, look at you talking about watching me from.
You're like 20 years old now.
Yeah. But I understand, you know, starting out young and to keep that over the years is not really easy. But, you know, I guess it's that love, you know, when they watch you from that age and you know, I guess you continue to, you know, be who you are and stay true to what you do for them in their eyes. I guess it's something great, and I'm grateful to still be here.
And the new project came out a couple of months ago, The Gentleman.
Yeah.
And people listen to your music, and it is definitely like, this song, I could play this at my wedding. Or, you know, it's nice because now we get to see for the past couple of years what life is really like, you know, for you at home. Do you feel like people having that access to you also helped you be able to open up even more in your music? And
yeah, I feel so, you know, because you can't be anything outside of real with people on especially on YouTube. It's your life now, you know, even though we don't get to show people everything about our life, but the little that we show, you have to be true to people. That and that is something I try to uphold as much as possible. I don't want to be anything on the internet and then when people see me in real life, or you know, it would be something else, you know. And same thing for the music. Whatever I preach in the music, I try to live that life as best as possible. And so, yeah, I would say that side of it helped, you know, to open so much more in terms of the music, you know, just let it all out, you know. You know, back in the days, I would hold back from saying certain things, or, you know, just, you know, telling people that, hey, I go through this. You know, nowadays I'm you know, just willing to open up more so people get to see, and because I feel like when people can feel you and when they can see your story from the realest point, I feel like the connection is even stronger.
Even starting off the album with a song like Been There Before.
Yeah.
And you talk about how the darkest part of night is just before daylight. And so, you know, people may not know what life was like before for you, even when you were first trying to make it.
Yeah, because, I mean, a lot of people probably just remember Romain Virgo entering a competition, winning $1 million Jamaican
That's what it
dollars.
sounds like at a young teenage. Yeah.
And then that's it. But there's so much more to my life, you know, and even on that record, I was trying to go deep. You know, Nika was the one who suggested, hey, like maybe, you know, it's too personal and a lot of people won't be able to connect to your story because that is so personal. You know, so, you know, we tried our best to you know, kind of keep it at a level where everybody else can feel like, wow, I've been through this too, you know? And so the life, you know, people will never understand, you know, especially as artists, you know, the industry sometimes allow us to feel like, we have to show this side of us and we have to be so, especially as men, we make it feel like you have to be tough and you can't talk about a story because they're going to say you're soft. And so, you know, I mean, over time, getting to, you know, tap into myself and realizing that the more you open up is the more you're helping somebody out there to, you know, just be true and be real with themselves. I'm just grateful for this point that I'm at in my life where I can talk about anything, my family, my past, you know, everything, and talk about it from the realest point and still getting the love from people.
What was life like before that? Before people think, oh, he won this competition, got this money, and he's been on ever since. Yeah,
well, I was poor and I didn't know that I was poor. Like, grow poor and didn't know.
That's so true. When you don't have it and you're growing up, you're just used to it.
Exactly.
So you just think that's what life is.
Yeah, and then because I had it better than a lot of people who I grew up with too. So then that make it even worse. Like, you're good. You know, that's how I felt back then. But then as I grew older, I realized that, wow, it was like 4 of us sleeping in one bed at one point, you know, 3 of us sleeping in one bed at one point. And you know, even the school that, you know, I used to go, like, I didn't have the privilege to say, no, I don't want to go to that school. I want to, you know, so you get to realize that growing up was rough, you know, but because of that structure, that family structure, the community, you know, just people around who used to just make the most out of the little that they have. You know, you get to, you grow up with that same mindset, like, wow, so this is how life is supposed to be. Like, no matter what you have, you just live and just laugh and love just the same, and don't let, you know, the little that you have now, you know, distract you or make you feel like, hey, I am not worth it, you know. And so it was tough, you know. I grew up in a house where, as I say, you know, like 5 of us slept in one little room, and you know, there was no fancy bathroom. It was just if you're from the Caribbean, you would know the outside toilet or outside latrine, they would call it. It was that kind of lifestyle. You know, your kitchen is outside. I used to bathe in the front of my house and like just naked out there singing in the morning.
But everybody
could see you.
But everybody also was in the same situation too.
Yes.
Around.
Well, for the ladies, they used to set up a little thing where they put some bags around some post, and so they could go inside of that to
have some privacy.
Yeah, but for men, we were just
just outside.
We were just outside. It's that kind of lifestyle, but you know, we didn't know. You're just living. You know?
And you know what? It's interesting because, you know, sometimes you'll see somebody and you'll be like, man, I feel bad. But sometimes people who look like they don't have a lot could be really happy too.
Yes.
And people who have a lot aren't necessarily happy.
True. Because, and I've learned that too, you know, with the more you achieve is the more you have to maintain that kind of life, you know, and know how to balance out life and you know, because, you know, people are seeing you as successful now, and you know, sometimes people don't even know that, you know, some of the things you're probably going through. So I you know, like firsthand kind of experience that now, where I have to be careful of how I spend, how
Yeah.
I do everything in life, because it gets harder, and people might see me sometime on the road, I'm smiling, but I'm going through so much now, because I know that there's so much more to live up to. The more
Right.
that I achieve, the more that I grow. And so it's just trying to
Yeah.
keep it above
No,
water
there's a
most
lot.
times.
With more responsibilities come with that. And the more you make, the more you end up spending.
Of course.
You know, I
Of
saw
course.
on the vlog you guys had bought a new house.
Yeah.
That was a couple of years ago.
That was in the middle of of the
Yeah.
pandemic. Like over the years we've been wanted to move from where we were living, because you're planning your family now, and the girls came in 2019, and so around the time I was like, wow, we need to really and truly move into a space where they can have their own room.
Right.
At the time I was we bought an apartment in 2016, and so we were living there up until that time. So with a bigger family now, we're saying we need somewhere.
Right.
And
Plus, you probably were home because you couldn't really travel. It's the pandemic.
Yes.
Now you have time to look for a house too.
we were looking, and there were a lot of options coming up. Most of them not quite what you're looking for, and sometimes based on what you have to spend too, you might end up go for something that you're not really comfortable, like,
Right.
so it was just out of luck we find the perfect place, somewhere that we had to put some work into,
That's fun too, though,
renovation.
and that's great for the vlog.
Yeah,
renovations.
exactly. So and so it was so good. It was like the first. This was like my biggest, our biggest investment as a family now, and so it was good. Like as I say, it's the community is somewhere that I can live for the rest of my life if needs be.
See, you're very practical. I like that.
Yeah,
that's how I am too. I'm like, okay, if something doesn't happen, this is at least I have a place to live. I really do think like that, and I try not to do too much so that I'm not like living beyond just in case.
Yes.
Some people might be like, go for it. When it comes to you and Liz, who do you think is more extravagant when it comes to spending?
Well, I feel like both of us kind of help each other to, I'm more probably the risk taker. Like I will say, yo, let's go for this, and she's like, yo, no. Make her think about it first, And there are times when she will say, and I'm like, So I feel like we
it's a good balance.
It's a good balance between us, and we try to just keep it that way. And so far it's just our input in everything that we do, every move that we make, like just stop for a while and let's think and see if this is the right move to make. We've been balancing that so far well, I must say.
Let's talk about the song Good Woman for a second.
Yeah.
And just even your whole process of writing that song and being able to play that song at home, what that experience was like, because that feels extremely personal.
Yeah, it is. It was one morning I was writing a song, trying to write on that same rhythm, that same Good Woman rhythm. And I was up about 4 a.m. trying to find melodies and lyrics, and she got ready for work, and when she came out she was like, "Whoa, you're still up." I'm saying, "Yeah, man, I try to find it. I'm close, but I'm not finding it." And she said, "You want some porridge?" And I said, "Yeah." I was there thinking in my head, like, "Whoa, you're kind of late for work now. I am up, and your first thing before you leave out is trying to make sure that I'm okay before you leave out." And I said to myself, in my head, I was saying all of this, like, you're such a good woman. And I was writing about some. It was a song that was close to people business with me and Christopher Martin. It was close to that kind of topic, and something just hit me right there and said, why am I writing about this? Let's write about what is happening right now. This good woman decided to make your porridge. Yeah. Let's write about her, and that was the idea behind the whole song. So she kissed me first thing in the morning. Then she said, "Baby, have a good day." She didn't hear from me. She'll be calling. Just writing about what a good. So I guess a bowl of porridge was the inspiration.
Yeah, and when she heard it for the first time, what did she say?
She loved it, because she normally likes when I, tap into something else, like a different groove, something outside of the regular things that I've been doing. So the energy of the song, the vibe of the song, you know, and she's a big judge of my music. You know, sometimes I'm afraid to play demos for her because she's like, that not ready yet.
That's good though. You need that rather than somebody that's like amazing. I love it. Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes myself and Nico will say, yo, no, don't play it for her yet. Just wait. Let's put harmonies. Let's mix the song and even master it before you know, we allow her to hear it. But you know, she loved it. You know, since the demo stages, and you know, so we knew that she would love it after we mix and master the song. Yeah. So and she's happy.
How hard is it for you when it's time for like getting on the road? You know, I saw you went to Grenada earlier this year. You're going to be doing a UK tour, a US tour, all of those things. And then, you know, having to travel, knowing that you got the girls at home.
Yeah.
I know the pandemic was probably the part of being able to be home was really nice to grow up and be with, like, the girls are growing up right there with you. So you didn't have to travel too much. But now, back at it.
Yeah, I mean, like last year, like I think it was when we were in the UK again, October, and somebody asked me the same question backstage. See, this very question that you're asking me now, and I broke down because, you know, it's one of the hardest things to do is to travel. You know, sometimes knowing that the pressure that will be on Liz, and so even though we have a nanny around who will help out, is like we know that our presence is much needed at home, you know, especially with our girls. And, you know, just as parents, we're trying to get them on a certain level. You know, the pandemic kind of, I don't know, it did something, like, you know, so in terms of the girls and their milestones, you know, we didn't feel comfortable with where they were, you know, when they got to 2 years old.
Right, because
you know,
they're not socializing like they would have been.
Exactly. And so as a parent, as a father, as a mother, you know, working, you know the pressure and how that would make you feel, you know, not seeing them at the level that you'd want them in. So it's like that for me now. Every time I travel, like, wow, just trying to make sure that everything is good at home, and when I'm here, I'll be calling, checking in. You know, Liz and I, we keep ourselves, we'd call it like motivated by just like small steps. Like we learn that this happened today. She'll share a video with me or a message, and like literally that happened today.
Right.
You know, I got a message from her and she was saying that I don't remember exactly what one of them did, and and so you know, like a big celebration for us each time something like that happened. You know, but you know, it's just out of wanting the best for them and for the family and for how we grow, even mentally too, because it, you know, that can affect everything that we do. I'm here on the road and I want to go on stage and do well, but you know, knowing that something at home is probably not going as good as we would want, that it affects me as well, you know. So it's just trying to keep a balance, you know. As I say, every time there's a win, we'd call it, you know, it's a big thing for me. Like she called me with a good feedback from any session that they might have now. It's like I'm celebrating. It's like I have the greatest show, you know. But I feel like it's a part of our story. Right. Yeah, it's a part of my story as an artist, and you know, there's so much I probably can share with people who go through what we go through as parents, and you know, every time I look at it, it's like, yo, this is my story, and this is what I can share and help others with out there in the world as time go by, you know. But you know, those girls, whenever, you know, you see them, and because they're always happy though. Yeah, they are. That's one of the greatest things, you know, that they're always happy, always, you know, running up and down. Sometimes they'll just look at you and smile or laugh, and you say, what are you laughing about? And that will just make your day, you know. So it's like bittersweet, but you know, even sweeter when they're happy.
Yeah, and you know, I think that in a society where it's been really popularized to be a womanizer, and you have been the opposite of that, you know, and that is why the music can be refreshing, because sometimes like we all love to sing along to those songs too and dance to them and have a good time, but then it's just nice to feel like, okay, this is something that warms your heart to feel like this is kind of what you would want.
Yeah, I grew up in a family where, you know, the father figure that I would want to be around wasn't there, and so my goal was always to be, you know, what I'm trying to be now. You know,
Right.
I'm not talking as if I'm perfect or I'm doing it
But it's
perfectly.
goals for you.
You know, but it's
Yeah.
always been a goal to just, you know, be this kind of man.
Yeah,
You know?
because that could go either way. Somebody sees, you know, this is how they grew up, so this is what they think is normal, but then you made a conscious decision, like, I don't want to be.
Trust me, I never ever want that. You know, I never want my kids to be growing up, you know, not being around, you know, both mother and father. You know, I just always wanted to create that space for them to feel safe, like they can come and share anything that they're going through in life. And you know, so I always see myself in that light, and I try my best. You know, I learn by just watching people, just see how other people live. You know, I grew up knowing a stepfather who was like such a real man. You know, he couldn't help himself but just be true and be the best. To my, especially seeing how he treats my mother, like that warms my heart so much. Sometimes, like, he's just the coolest person on the face of this earth. Well, God bless his soul. He passed away last June.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. So that was a sad time for us. But he was one that I look at and say, hey, I want to be like this man.
Where was your biological father?
He's alive, you know, and I know him. We talk a lot too nowadays, you know. But he, you know, like him and my mom. I just saw things going in Jamaica, you know. As men, we have a wife here or a woman here and next woman here,
Right.
and then
That's what I'm saying. That's unusual for you culturally.
Yeah.
You know, that you've been able to do this and promote this and be like, you know, happy in that situation. I think that's a positive thing.
And just me growing to the point now where, like, I don't make the past, you know, like, determine how I even treat my father. I love him.
Did y'all ever have because sometimes people don't even have that conversation. Like, you know, you wasn't.
We have it every time.
Every time, okay.
we talk, like, he would. I don't know what to call it. If it's feeling a bit guilty or him just wanting me to understand why things didn't work the way it. And I'm like, every time I'm like, yo, I do understand now. You know, now that you explained, I do understand, and we have to just get past that because we can't be dwelling on something that we can't change anymore. You know, it's just how we move forward now. And I always try to show him that, yo, that's life. You know, I am trying to not live or be in that situation that you were in, you know, with us, you know. And I feel like he sometimes understand, but then whenever he don't hear from me for a long time, he's like, when he call you, oh, it's been a while, I haven't heard from you, like, you know, I just want, and then he goes back in history again, and I'm like, geez, you're
like, look, it worked out. I'm successful. I'm happy. I'm the man that I want to be.
Yeah, so it's always
and
like
sometimes
that,
people just don't know better when they're in the midst of a situation.
True.
You know, and like you said, you can't go back and change things, but we have to understand our parents are like human beings also with a lot of flaws.
Exactly.
Too.
And sometimes is a thing that we don't look at as people, like, we don't know the things that our parents went through, why our parents, you know, maybe end up in the situations that they were, you know, and that is how I look at it. Like, I'm not don't want to just jump and say, hey, my father I didn't grow up around my father, so I'm not gonna deal with him. You know, I try to understand where everything is kind of coming from, how it was for him growing up.
Right.
You know, and it's similar stories. Like, his father wasn't around as he would want his father to be, and so you can kind of understand the trend coming right down. And so with my generation, I want to stop that.
Right.
I want to be the one to say, yo, let's put an end to this. My daughters should at least know the right thing or how to live by watching me and Liz. And
they're gonna want a man that treats them just like their dad treated them, so, nice and spoiled, how it should be.
And even if it don't end up going that way, at least they know how it should be.
Right.
By looking on and seeing how we live. And so You know, as I say, nobody's perfect at the end of the day too, but everything that I do, it should, the direction should be down that path, that positive look, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
Do you feel like sometimes you downplay your own success? Because I saw on one of your vlogs, you were acting like people may not know your songs or may not, but then you go on stage and it's so much love.
It's just my approach to life. You know, sometimes we set up ourselves for disappointment. You know, like I might have a few songs playing, but if I'm going into a new place, it's always with a level of, I don't know what to call it, but just almost as if I'm approaching it like nobody here knows me, but I'm gonna give it 150%.
Okay.
My energy, you know.
Right.
So it's
you don't take it for granted.
No.
Yeah.
So it's looking at it from an angle where, tell yourself that these people don't know you, and your show will be better because, if they do know you and if they do give you a good response, then, you know,
even better.
The energy will be better on stage, and you'll feel better about your performance after. Because sometimes, you know, you go to places and just the energy, some people come to you and say, hey, I love you. And then they go on stage with this confidence that when you don't get that response, that crowd response, you're like, whoa. You feel disappointed in yourself, like, what happened? You know, so that's just me. I just approach, you know, even walking in the street some of the time, and people might be like, yo, are you named Romain? And I'm like, no, it's not like that everywhere though.
Right.
Because I can be in Jamaica and everybody's like, whoa, but then I go elsewhere in the world and everybody just walk past because it's not the same kind of vibe everywhere.
Right.
I can go anywhere in the Caribbean and people show me the same kind of love that they would show me in Jamaica, but I'm here in New York now, and if it's not people from the Caribbean, nobody will.
And let me tell you something. New York
you know?
Also, there's so many people everywhere. People mind their business. We're taught to not look at nobody, don't talk to anybody, mind your business. It's more of that. Because sometimes like you'll walk past people and then they'll tweet out, I just saw such and such on the street.
Wow.
But they don't say anything.
They don't say.
Yeah, to you. It's just that was me going to the Caribbean when I was young and being confused by people being polite and friendly and speaking to you.
True.
And here it's like, don't look at nobody, don't make eye contact, don't talk to strangers.
But then people would say, you'd just find out that you were in the building just now.
Yeah.
Maybe on Twitter,
and
Instagram.
they'd be like, yo, guess who was here?
Wow.
Well, listen, I appreciate you so much every single time. And I know, you know, for both of us, like working with the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies is a big deal for me as it is for you.
Yes.
I remember the first year, because you've been on VP Records for 14 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Since 2009 or 2010.
Wow.
So it'd be 14 years.
That's amazing.
Yes, 14
and
years.
the first thing at a FUI when I was in a meeting and we were talking about entertainment, this was years ago, and they were like, oh my God, Romain Virgo would be our first choice if we can, you know, somehow make that happen. But, you know, always in support of giving these scholarships to students who go to UE and flourish. I say some of the brightest students ever have gone to the University of the West Indies.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. I believe in education. Even my foundation, we sort of focus on education. You know, I've been doing it ever since I won the competition in Jamaica. I've been like going back to my community every opportunity I get each year and give back to kids in my community. And so whenever there's another opportunity, whether it's abroad or locally, you know, to give back, whether, you know, like giving something that you can hold on to, or it's just my service, like just go and just perform somewhere that people can raise funds to give back, you know, to education. I'm on that.
How were you with your money when you first won the competition at what, 17 years old?
I'm a saver, you know.
That's good.
Yeah, but I remember the first time, because it's like literally $1 million Jamaican dollars in the account, and I remember the first time going to a machine and putting in the card, and I took like 10 or 15,000 Jamaican out of it, and then I see some nines before. I'm so like, whoa, I'm not a millionaire anymore.
You know? I took a little out.
Yeah, but I save a lot. You know, I don't spend on things that don't make sense. You know, especially, you know, at that point when just started out. You know, I knew that I needed to be on the move every time, because I had to travel back from sent on to Kingston each week to record. And so there was this voice in my head saying that, yo, you need to buy a car. You know, at the time I probably could buy a second-hand car and you know, to say, hey, I have a car now. But I remember like going to Kingston with my friend in his car for like probably a year and a half.
Wow.
And then after that, it took me like probably 2 years before buying my first car. You know, so I'm always, you know, if I can't afford it, I'm not going to even try. I'll just wait and you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could have bought a car back then, but you know. Okay. Yeah. Well, Romain Virgo, thank you so much. The Gentleman is out right now. Always appreciate you, honestly.
Thank you so much.
And if you have a chance to catch him live, make sure you go and see it. You definitely are going to love it and never be disappointed. And I always appreciate you, too, for supporting me as well.
Of course. Anytime. You know, anytime.
All right. Thank you.